What's up, everybody? About to head for my walk here. Try to get it in, you know what I'm saying? So, let's make it do what it do, right? So if you're not a member, please consider joining the membership only, members only content, giving shout outs to the members, etc., etc. So, I want to, kind of address a situation that we had as I recorded this last night. But whenever you watch this, be it a few nights ago, we had a lively session concerning what men are doing wrong to ruin relationships, and it was a good conversation. Unfortunately, on my part, it got a little out of hand. So that's why an area which I need to improve, et cetera, et cetera. So I'm not above critiquing myself, and no one should ever be above critiquing themselves and looking to see what they can do better. But the theme of that show, and what I took out of it from the ladies who were on the panel, and shout out to Be Mindful, shout out to Better Love Movement, aka Auntie Anita, and shout out to Trey Kearney. Shout out to those ladies for coming on the show, and they really gave some impassioned thoughts about what's going on with men down in the dating market. And the reason that I wanted to have those ladies on is because they are not only ladies who date men, but they are coaches, and so they're hearing this, running into it in their practices, and all that. So I wanted to hear their perspective specifically for that. So what I heard in the what we can boil this all down to is men need to improve. Men need to work on their masculinity. They need to reclaim their masculinity, and they need to be leaders, protectors, providers. Stop making excuses. I think that we can boil everything down to those things. And I'm going to echo those sentiments, and those are things that I talked about oftentimes on my channel, is the need for men to improve, the need for self-reflection, and all that. Got some videos that are going to be coming up addressing that in more detail, but I wanted to say this to, number one, to address the situation we had last night, and to address the overall theme about what I think the men need to do. Now, it's definitely true that men who are in their 40s, and this is Trey's argument, men who are in their 40s or so should not still be looking for mamas, someone to take care of them, someone to help them out with bills and all that kind of stuff, right? So if you're in that boat, listen, I really don't know what to tell you besides, get yourself together. But you got to take a long, hard look in the mirror, brother, and see what you need to be doing to improve, to get better, to make some moves and all that kind of stuff. Because if you are still looking for that, you got some issues. So a lot of content, particularly a longer video that was played by Anita, was dealing with, in my estimation, guys who are under 35, right? These guys are trying to find themselves. They're sitting in their mama's basement. They're making excuses. They are, doing whatever instead of making things happen. I have a T-shirt that says, "Nobody cares, work harder." And the first time my mother saw it, she was like, "Why you got that shirt on?" So, but it was, it's just a motivational type of T-shirt, that, nobody cares about your excuses. And this is definitely exemplified with male-female relationships. Ladies don't want to hear excuses. Now, I tried to push back, when they talk about lack of masculinity and lack of men pursuing women and lack of masculinity, lack of men pursuing the Me Too movement, and I tried to give reasons why these men weren't doing what they're doing. I didn't want to come off too combative, but I did want to make it understandable as to why men aren't pursuing. And those are real things, right? Getting girls' numbers when I was a kid, 14, 15, 16, getting these girls' numbers and being rejected was part of the game. You're going to get told no, you're going to get turned down, of course. But you tried, and it wasn't viral. And so guys are saying, I don't want to do this because it's going to go viral. But again, my point in telling you this is they don't care. They don't care. And no matter what, you have to improve. You have to get yourself together. This is the long story short of this conversation. And I think a vast majority of the red pill space is that you need to improve for yourself, for your children, for your parents. You need to improve. You need to always be on the set of improving. There's this idea going on, and there's this new thing that's going on. The weekly news from the internet, from the interweb, that 106,000 black women in particular have lost their jobs. I don't know how many white men lost their jobs. I don't know, whatever. I haven't really looked into those job numbers. I've seen a bunch of people posting this online. So and I did hear one person say that while black women have lost 106,000 jobs, black men gained 54,000 jobs. So, people are looking at all these numbers. I'm not in competition like that. I got other things to do. I got reports to do for lawyers and stuff. I can't look into every single thing that comes across my feed. But I do think it's interesting that in response to the 106,000 women who allegedly have lost their jobs, they have been making videos. I've seen them saying that they thought it was a conspiracy. I thought this, I thought that. I got as much qualifications as somebody else, or why did I get let go despite my qualifications, despite me being here 6 years, 10 years, 11 years? Why was I let go? All these different, rationalizations, and trying to understand and trying to come to terms with what happened. And then there's a celebratory tone from men who are saying, yeah, you chose government assistance above your man. Government assistance being the grants, the benefits, um, you know, things that were handed to black women in particular. Uh, it's things that were supposed to be for people of color and minorities, whatever. A lot of times black women got them. All this type of talk. I don't think any of that is helpful. I don't think it's helpful for the men to be pointing fingers. What's helpful is to understand that you need to improve as a man. Whether the women lose their jobs and whether they come crawling back, which is what some of these videos were alleging, whether they come crawling back or they, there's this idea that there's this "Hey big head" text. I haven't heard from you in a long time. Hey big head, how you doing? How come we ever stop talking? Whatever they say in these text messages. Um, and then there is this celebratory tone that, uh, you know, what happened to you don't need us? What happened to you being strong, independent? I don't think any of that is helpful. If the ladies do come back, you do get that big head text. Let me ask you this: are you in a position to do right by them? Are you in a position to say I've leveled up, I have improved? The person that you knew 6 months ago, 2 years ago, whatever it is vastly improved. And you need to improve not just in case you get a big head text. You need to improve just for yourself. I'm on my way to work out. Educationally and all these other formats and forms. You need to. Dude riding up on me, and I go to make a turn, and he's looking at me, staring me down. So you need to improve, and so whatever it takes to do that, you need to have some self-awareness and really get yourself together and really just do what you got to do in order to become the best version of yourself. And that's going to take effort, work, self-reflection. It's going to take, um, you know, diligence, consistency. You have to improve. And a lot of these things, and a lot of the things that the ladies were saying is that, you have to improve. And the ladies on the panel were saying is that you have to improve. And there's a guy. I met him on my walk. Now, we actually worked together on the PD. He was a police officer just like I was. He retired a few years before I did, and he retired at the rank of lieutenant. And I'm telling, I don't know if he ever watches my stuff. A lot of people do or not. A lot of people do, but he's a short dude. I mean, if he was 5'4", if he was 5'4", 5'4", 5'5", but I'm thinking more 5'4". See his brother. He took the skills that were given to him in the police department and then went back and then he finished his bachelor's degree there, and I think when he left, he finished his master's degree, and he got a job at a really big cell phone company. I'm not gonna put it all out there, but he got a job at a really good cell phone company, and um, and really leveled up. And now, because of his degree, expertise, and all that, he moved up, and now he's a bigwig in the cell phone company. Got to be making, but plus his police pension, well over 200K, probably more than that. I don't know. I didn't ask him. I'm just saying. I'm just saying. He leveled up. He kept going. He didn't get pushed down because of his height. As I saw him on the trail that I'm about to walk on the other day, he had a beautiful woman next to him, introduced me to her, introduced us, and the woman is taller than him. You gotta get off the internet sometimes, and you gotta improve. Let me pause this for a second here. All right, so let me finish this off here. Go for my walk here. So you gotta improve. You can't be stuck down in this loathing, self-pity state of being. Woe is me, I'll never make it, nobody ever wants me, I'm ugly, I'm short, I don't make enough money. You have to improve. Whatever you can maximize about yourself, you have to maximize about yourself. They don't want to, the ladies on the panel didn't want to hear it, and no ladies ever want to hear that. If you, has to be what you want, and you have to want it for yourself. So if you're going to be anyone, you're going to be a person, sun's so bright I can't even see myself in here. If you're going to be that person, you're going to be that dude, you're going to be that guy, then you got to make things happen. You have to make things happen. You have to, get off your seat of do nothing and get out there, exercise, get out there, advance yourself, go back to school, learn a trade, and all that. So now, in your self-improvement type of thing, I'm kind of, going off the top of my head here. There was something I didn't appreciate, and I don't appreciate, and that is this workaholic type of mentality or mentality. So when somebody put in the chat that patriarchy hurts men too. Now, I've inquired about that, and one of the ways that patriarchy, and I don't know if I would call it patriarchy, but this is what they mean. Capitalism really kind of hurts men is it can run you into the grave. You can get so caught up into getting things and stuff, trying to level up, trying to buy a house, trying to buy a car, trying to do this, trying to do that, that you forget to smell the roses in life, that you don't take time to take a nap. I saw a video one time of a young lady saying she don't like it when her man takes a nap and we feel like we got to get this money. You can't ever let anybody be so what another YouTuber, Sergeant Willie P, calls, they got the stench of poverty on them and they're trying to wash it off. In other words, what he's saying is they grew up so poor. The theory is, not that we know these people individually or personally, but they have this idea about them that because I grew up so poor, so impoverished, never having anything, never having enough food, never having, whatever their circumstances were, that they said never again. And I can appreciate that from a certain aspect, but I'm not going to let anybody run me into the ground. I work 40 hours a week, particularly if you're a man, you're doing Amazon or you're doing construction work or you're working for UPS and you're making $150 $150,000 a year or whatever they're making for driving for UPS or whatever their contracts are. And they want you to work overtime and this. Don't let anybody make you feel bad about taking a nap here and there, taking a day off to enjoy the roses, going fishing. Nah, we're not doing all that. We're not doing all that. You can improve, but you don't have to work yourself to death. I told the stories many a times about people who I work with who are now gone because they never took vacations or whatever. So yeah, you have to improve. You have to improve till you get to a certain place in life. And yeah, I don't think that, it's going to be worth it at the end of the day that you worked your whole life and now now you're gone. Somebody else is enjoying the fruit of your labor. Nah, we're not doing that anymore. The days of Big Mama living in Big Daddy's house, when Big Daddy is gone because he died at 45 of whatever, we're trying to end those days, right? We're trying to make sure that we live life long and hard long and good and successful. Smelling the roses, taking time for yourself every now and then. There ain't nothing wrong with taking a self health day. Yes. What the heck was that? Self help day when you're a little stressed, you know. So take time for yourself. But in the meantime, yeah, you got to improve. Nobody cares. You have to work harder. You have to keep going. You have to make time. You got to make it happen. You got to have dreams, goals, visions, and all that. Yeah. So maybe I'll address this here. I think it's important, and I didn't want to give too much pushback because I didn't want to give a lot of argumentation, but I did say that I would say this at the end, and I'll certainly say it at any other time, and it's going to be out here. You know, one of the reasons that ladies have been able to level up is because they've been given the opportunity to. People have felt so bad about the way that women were treated that they gave them stuff. There's a book called, More Than Title IX. Talks about the taking over the public education system. Black boys are suspended at higher rates than anyone else. Black girls are obviously second. So we have a lot to overcome, and this idea of male privilege is absolute garbage. It's particularly for black men who have been lynched and who have been, the subject of police over policing over in law enforcement. So I don't know what they're talking about. So I wanted to drop this here to say, you got to improve. You got to keep working on yourself. You got to keep going further, farther. You got to keep advancing, and you can't. Nobody's going to care. They don't want to hear it. They don't want to. They don't want to abide by that. They don't want to. They don't want to. They're just not going to try to hear those things, and they want leaders and protectors, right? So their advancement, their ideas are to just keep going forward. You have to become the best version of yourself and make things happen. So, I just want to drop this here today to say, you got to keep going. You got to keep striving. You got to keep making it happen. You can't get waddled down in the pit of low self-esteem and the pit of despair and all that type of stuff, right? You got to advance. You got to move forward. You got to keep pushing. Got to keep pushing. All right, I'm gonna leave it out there. Let me know your thoughts, your opinions. Become a member of the channel. Hit the like button. Like the video. So as I'm finishing up this walk here, I wanted to remind everyone to protect their reputation, protect their name, their honor, their integrity. Be a man or woman of your word, but in particular, we're talking to the men today. Be a man of your word. If you say you're going to be somewhere, be there. If you say you're going to do something, do it. Be on time. Show up dressed to impress. Show up ready to help, to assist. Put your best foot forward. Do the best you can. If you mess up, learn from the mistake and all that. So, again, if you set a goal for yourself, you tell other people you're going to do something, be a man of your word, right? That's all part of improving. I'm sick of seeing men who are not men of their word. And then, when they're not men of their word, they don't even have the decency, the honor, the balls to tell the person. They'll send them a text. This is the environment that we're living in, the ghosting. It's one thing that really bothers me about this environment that we're living in. This age of the cell phones and ghosting and it's the impersonalness of living behind a keyboard warriors, texting and don't show pictures and this. And I get it. Sometimes, what you want to say is so controversial. You don't want to get fired or have somebody come after you or whatever. I get that. But you gotta at some point, man, you gotta have some nuts. You gotta be like a squirrel and just grab some nuts. Grab your nuts and just do it. Put it out there. I told, there's a saying, the only thing worse than a man without an opinion is a man who has an opinion but too scared to say it. Say it, put it on the line. I'm obviously not telling you to say anything that's going to be outright reckless and get you fired and all that, but you got to hold your own, man. And, you having an opinion and not saying it, or you having a frame of thinking, we got to do it, man. We got to say it. We got to be about our business. So that was one thing that was always impressed upon me growing up in church, is you got to be a man of your word. not only of the word they used to say of the Bible, basic set of principles and values. That's why women want to know that when they say they want a God-fearing man, what they're saying is they want to know that you have a set of standards, a set of morals, a set of principles, a set of values. What's your code of honor? What's your code of ethics? That's why when you join the Marines or any organization, they're going to give you a code of ethics. Here's the code of ethics. Otherwise, what are you living by? What are you living for? That's what a woman's asking you. I want a God-fearing man. A man, they want to know that if you say you're going to do something, you're going to do it. And what holds you accountable? What or who is holding you accountable if you decide to put your hands on me? Or if you decide not to do right by your kids, who's going to hold you accountable? That's what they're asking. That's what they want to know. So, develops a code, ethics, values, morals, and live by them daily. Hold yourself accountable. Have a group of friends. Join a fraternity where they have something, but do something. You got to improve, and you got to be a man of your word, man of your code, honor, ethics. Say what you're going to say, be what you're going to be, dress to impress, drink water, work out, go for walks. Do what you got to do, right? All right. Till next time, keep improving. Keep improving.